As British High Commissioner here in Singapore, it's my job to champion connectivity between the UK and Singapore. As you've heard today, FinTech is already an area where there is an impressive level of activity, and it's right for us to do much more together, driven by our UK-Singapore FinTech bridge. In this session, I want to showcase FinTech expertise and opportunities across the whole of the UK. Many of you will know London's status as one of the world's top FinTech hubs, but it's just one of a number of rapidly growing ecosystems around the UK. What started as a cluster of companies in London a decade ago has grown into a network of 1,600 FinTech companies stretching across the UK, from Edinburgh to Belfast, from Cardiff to Manchester, to name but a few. And as part of the UK's event for the World FinTech Festival, I want to highlight some of the brilliant activity that is taking place across the country. So this tour of the UK will take you through Scotland, which has recently launched the Global Open Finance Centre of Excellence, to Northern Ireland, where PwC has chosen Belfast as the home of its Global Blockchain Impact Centre, to Wales, which has expertise in cybersecurity and data management and is the home of challenger banks like Starling. Let's not forget other centres too. My home region, the north of England, is quickly developing a strong reputation for FinTech, with northern powerhouse cities, Newcastle and Manchester, both competing as the fastest growing tech sectors outside London. Not to be outdone, the West Midlands engine is the first multi-city 5G testbed in the UK. Meanwhile, London headquartered FinTechs have opened regional offices and supporting regional clusters of expertise, such as Curve in Bristol and Oak North in Manchester. Many of these FinTechs leverage on the UK's top education capabilities. After all, we host 4 of the world's top 10 universities. And as one of the most innovative places in the world, we have institutions that lead the way on FinTech. For example, Imperial College Business School's Centre for Financial Technology, or the Cambridge Centre for Alternative Finance, and Leeds Institute for Data Analytics. These connect cutting-edge innovation, thought leadership and innovators, and enhance the commercial propositions of our FinTechs. FinTechs in the UK benefit from some really core strengths. We have one of the world's most innovative regulators, the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA. There is connectivity to 90,000 finance and insurance firms based in the UK, or to British customers with a FinTech adoption rate above the global average. FinTech investment has grown over 100% year on year for the past 5 years. I'm very proud to champion these national success stories. So let's meet some of the FinTechs now.
Hello, and thank you for listening to me today. My name is Phil Smith. I'm the Group Chief Executive and founder of a UK business called the Embark Group. I founded the operation in late 2012 due to the opportunity that was arising in the crosshairs of demographic changes in the UK pattern of savings, with the digitisation of a ream of things across the financial services landscape. We had a particular idea and focus in mind, and that was to bring FinTech capabilities and digital execution and transactional capability into the retirement space, and to use that as the foundation bridgehead in which to grow across multiple channels and across multiple delivery of products and services of a financial orientation to UK savers, whether they were high net worth, affluent, or indeed mass retail. Our vision was to build out through technology the first multi-channel, multimodal trading platform in the UK, and to build scale from there with high diversification for our underlying shareholders. That vision entered into a world where we would be competing in the financial advice, or IFA channel as we call it, into retail banking through white label arrangements, into execution only, D2C and now robo channels, using our technology and our servicing power as a B2B play, and then finally into a generational shift here in the UK in workplace savings. All the while providing technology and infrastructure which could trade at a consumer level in execution only, guided or fully advised modes interchangeably, and therefore future-proofing the technology set and those of our distribution partners to deliver it. We're now 7.5 years into a journey from a blank sheet of paper standing start, and we've become quite a considerable enterprise off the virtues of our power to disrupt this market and the digital execution capabilities that has brought forward and into our pricing propositions. As we stand today, we have $48.5 billion of assets under administration on behalf of 425,000 underlying consumer clients, the bulk of which are high net worth and affluent individuals. We have a ream of other fintech businesses utilising us as the core engine of their proposition. You may be familiar with UK robo names such as Nutmeg, Wealthify, Money Farm, and the like. They all use Embark powered capability to deliver their proposition in the retirement space. But at the top end, we also have banks like RBS Coutts, one of the most prestigious private banks in the world, and Barclays, utilising that very same technology into their high net worth and ultra high net worth client bank. And the real founding difference of our proposition is its pension richness, its retirement and out-retirement capabilities, and its straight-through processing content. We've built this business on our own capital. So for the first 6 years of our existence, myself and my founders, with the support of angel investing from the high net worth market, have helped us build this organisation at a very rapid pace. A year ago, we did invite institutional investment into the mix and brought cornerstone investors in the form of BlackRock, in the form of FNZ, like Mason, Merian Global Investors, and Franklin Templeton. And that really enabled us to power on with the development of the organisation through a combination of organic and inorganic expansion. Most latterly being the integration of two competitors, where we've brought in historic built books, leveraged our new technology, enabled us to kick ahead and go forward. That is enabling us to drive an opportunity where we can come upstream in our fintech provision of robot engineering skills, artificial intelligence, consumer experience, and other bespoke components in an otherwise complicated value chain. It'll enable us to use our retail-facing capability into workplace and to enable us to step into what we see as the next curve, which is the conversion of banking and cash-based product alongside investment and brokerage trading. We think that is the next frontier here in Europe and particularly in the UK as platform technology develops at a pace. All the while, we have to keep an eye on scale, and we certainly have ambitions to be $100 billion business within the next 5 years, which would be a material achievement for a cold startup business that hasn't touched aggressive capital at this time from the PE market. And all along the way, we've managed to cope very comfortably and indeed benefited operationally and commercially from COVID-19. Due to the straight-through processing and automated design of our platform, we have not been impacted at all by the various events around the world at this time. But here today, we're here to talk about Scotland and our involvement with the Scottish location and enterprise, because as an English business, fundamentally, we have made an exceptional shift over the last 12 months to utilise Scotland as a strategic nearshore location for our technology development and our primary operational hubs. That enabled us to step into these two large inorganic transactions with the support of the Scottish Government, manifesting through Scottish Enterprise and the Scottish Development Bank, and enable us to make a long-term strategic choice to use Scotland as the geographic location of the core of the Embark Group. And why Scotland? Well, we think A, it has the right strategic infrastructure. So this is everything from time zone to language to format of law and accessibility for businesses from around the world, whether they're investors, distributors, clients, or indeed investment access. They have exceptional universities with great talent pool generating capacity. That adds to an already deep and rich employer depth in each of the main cities of Scotland. And with this, we have a government which is actually aligned intra-agency to invest, support and provide a strategic infrastructure vision for financial services here in Europe, and to act as a hotbed of global investment and global deployment of capability over time back out of Scotland and into the global arena. I myself, before doing this, held executive positions in Barclays, in Prudential and at Anderson, and have great experience on the ground building the Prudential business in Asia in the 90s, building technology-based capability in India during my time at Anderson, and then latterly with Barclays having multiple offshoring capabilities, including the Philippines, Singapore, into India, out into Eastern Europe, and indeed up into Scotland, which was quite considerable. And in my experience of these many locations in which to site technology development alongside scaled operations, Scotland holds out as the best utopian fit to me. And that's not just because of language, it is for all the factors that I've just mentioned. And indeed, our business has doubled in scale over the last 18 months with a great enabling resource from the Scottish enterprise. And I'm not sure we would have been able to have managed the transitional shift we had without their excellent support and from that of the Scottish Development Bank. So what we have looking forward is a number of things for the Embark Group and working in partnership with those central agencies. So we definitely want to source investment into our organisation from Asia Pacific and start to reach that Southern Hemisphere capital in the markets which will really matter over the next 15 to 20 years. And we need initially to bring that into our Scottish operations to support our FinTech venture hub, which is a hybrid of an incubator for new technology ideas, coupled with enabling those ideas to be put into deployment through proven distribution channels here in Europe via ourselves, and then back out in partnership with our investment management investors into markets such as broader Europe, Asia Pac, EMEA, and ultimately the United States and Southern America. So we do have international ambitions, but we're very much a UK enabling based business at this kind. In that venture hub, we are partnering with a US specialist investment business called Anthemis, and we will have various strategic partners of a blue chip nature. But that is always exciting for us. So how do we grab ideas in Singapore, Hong Kong, South Korea, Taiwan, Japan, India, China, bring them into Scotland, use our incubator at no cost to the participants, form great ideas, test them with proven scale distribution, and then repackage those businesses to come back out under their own steam into those various international domiciles and steam ahead vis-a-vis the traditional players in the market. That is how fintech businesses get built. We've come through that curve ourselves. It's very, very difficult to create IP, to build a technology to support it. That in itself is a mammoth challenge and quite expensive often. The biggest challenge of all, though, is getting distribution and getting access to markets to prove that IP, prove that capability, and to be able to deploy it in a growth sense where investors will come behind you with Series A, B, C, and D capital to build a material enterprise. And that's particularly so when distributing through large-scale institutions such as insurers and banks who look for that scale robustness that they normally have and want to see, and where they can't understand how fintech components can safely plug into their universe. We offer, with our partner FNZ, a great Petra dish for tested support in one of the most competitively challenging markets in the world, which is the United Kingdom. So we look for engagement, support, ideas, whether it's a small idea looking for an incubation source, whether it's Singaporean-based capital looking to invest into European fintech which can go global, or whether it's people looking and thinking about their own business as to whether they would site and build capability elsewhere in the world, where we would advocate Scotland, in our experience, to be a fantastic alternative to the traditional offshoring markets of the world due to those infrastructure capabilities. So we're very keen to continue to be a leading light of powerful disruption. There are many large institutions here in Europe who would be envious of our $48.5 billion AUA base, which is frankly growing organically at 3 to 4 billion a year and accelerating. And really what's come through there is our learning of how to take traditional institutional method, harness the innovation, pace, and frankly risk-taking of the fintech world, repackage new capability into proven markets through proven distribution. And we want to be an enabler for other people to come and do that without us taking margin from them. That's what we actually think great custodian businesses do. They come through the journey, they learn, they help others without getting greedy. And that really is the hallmark spirit of the Embark group, and what I wanted to come and share with you all today. And thank you for listening to this short video.
Hello from Belfast. I'm Stuart Harvey and I'm the CEO here. In our office here, just beside the River Lagan, we have a team of software developers and data scientists servicing banking clients in international cities like Amsterdam, London, and New York. We're a fast-growing regtech. Datactics is focused on the innovation of data. We've drawn, I hope, on the people and the energy of Northern Ireland as we've created fans for the business. We have chief data officers, KYC teams, and compliance groups worldwide as customers. This part of Belfast has a special meaning for me. It used to be the location for the city's livestock market. As a child, my grandfather would bring me here. He was a farmer, and we'd watch as cattle, sheep and pigs were being auctioned. Now you can see that it's full of modern office buildings, housing scale-ups like Datactics, and big blue chip firms like PwC, First Derivatives and Citigroup. During my career in banking, I've been lucky to live in places like London and New York and Berlin and see firsthand how a city can transform itself. So now I'm proud to have returned home to Northern Ireland's capital and to be part of this transformation here as we see Belfast becoming a genuine international fintech hub. Well, Datactics has been a fintech for 6 years now, and in that period the fintech ecosystem has grown strongly. Belfast has the highest pro rata concentration of fintech jobs in the UK. Last year it was named, along with Cambridge, the UK's most tech-centric city. Around us here there are over 70 firms working on financial services tech, big and small. I believe the fintech economy is developing strongly. As an early stage investor, I'm really pleased to see so many startups emerging as staff eventually move on from the multinational firms. Of course, Northern Ireland has a great history of inventors. Harry Ferguson invented the tractor here, and Pantridge the heart defibrillator. And we continue to have a really strong culture of innovation and a good supply of engineers and scientists. Belfast has become very cosmopolitan since I was a kid at the market here with my granda. At Datactics, currently we have 14 nationalities and our staff speak 22 languages. Most of our clients are outside of Ireland. We benefit from very outward-looking staff who are happy to travel. London's only an hour away by plane, and Dublin has excellent links into Asia via the Middle East, as well as direct flights to the US. Our local colleges provide strong education in software development, data science, big data and AI, and this has allowed the fintech economy to build a really strong reputation in certain domains, trading systems, for example, settlements, compliance, reg reporting, and cyber. I'm pleased to say that Datactics has found its niche in regtech, regulatory technology. Our buyers are chief data officers or heads of onboarding. Datactics clients are typically big financial firms who have large amounts of very messy data. That data can relate to customers, counterparties, transactions, or accounting information. We help them to measure and clean this data to make sure that it's fit for purpose with regards to regulation, single customer view, or client onboarding. It's great to see that Belfast is developing such a strong international reputation as a hub, particularly in relation to anti-money laundering, AML, and Know Your Customer, KYC. 5 years ago, Datactics was a 5-person firm. We're now over 50 staff, and we have offices in Belfast, London and Milan. I think there are a number of factors that have supported this fast growth. Firstly, many of our senior team came with technology skills that they developed abroad and then brought back to Northern Ireland. Secondly, there's a great range of other FinTech companies here in Belfast. This talent has allowed us to scale fast and to be very, very focused in achieving product market fit. We need to be very international in our outlook. Datactics' target market is the top 100 banks, insurers, and information vendors worldwide. We currently have client installations in about 10 countries, but of course we'd like more. Our strongest relationship with InvestNI is on the trade development side. We're currently working with InvestNI and Department of International Trade, DIT, in North America, Benelux, and Asia Pac. We have access to local staff in these markets who can make introductions for us and support us with market research. We're often looking for local partners as well as direct sales. In the 6 months before COVID, we'd worked together on many things with InvestNI. We spoke at a breakfast briefing for bankers on AI and data in banking in Toronto. We made a market visit to Tokyo. We exhibited on the InvestNI stand at Cybos and at Money 2020. We are currently working on a market entry partnership strategy for Singapore. Datactics is featured in the new NI 2020 FinTech Ecosystem Report. It's worth a read. If you want to know a bit more about the province and opportunities in FinTech here in Northern Ireland, it covers topics like availability of talent, the relationship between startups and established tech firms, funding for your FinTech, and then synergies between the universities and any research projects that you might want to undertake.
My name's Gareth Lewis. I'm co-founder and chief executive of Delio. Delio is a financial services business, a fintech that helps financial institutions do more for their clients in the private markets in a way that works for them. So we're a private markets technology and solution provider. We provide kind of white label technology platforms and broader services that help financial institutions of all sizes do more in private equity investing, real estate, social impact, and private debt, to name a few. So our white label solution is highly configurable and flexible, and therefore it's used by some of the world's leading financial institutions, as well as, right the way through to boutique wealth managers, multifamily offices, angel networks, and other types of organizations that are looking to improve things such as distribution, compliance, reporting, when engaging in private markets activities. We're a business. We're based in Cardiff in South Wales. We're grown to a team of 60 or so people in 7 locations globally in the last few years. And the reason we decided to start the business in Wales from the outset, I guess, was initially kind of personal pride. I was born and raised in South Wales, grew up here before moving away to start my career, and came back in 2015. And I think we felt there was a real opportunity to create a true fintech success story here in South Wales, and that we always believe there could be much more. And traditionally, maybe over the recent years, we somewhat punched below our weight a little bit in comparison to other places in the UK. So there was a real kind of passion for myself personally and some of the founding team members to really try and put Wales on the map globally. I think as we've scaled the business as well, it's actually turned out to be hugely beneficial for the business also. We've grown the team quite substantially in a fairly short space of time. And I think, we perhaps wouldn't have been able to grow so quickly if we'd been based in maybe a large, more, traditionally expensive financial hub such as a London, a New York, or San Francisco. So I think we've been able to find really good people and grow on a more sustainable cost base. And I think that has actually worked out really well for the business, because I guess we've been able to expand the business model perhaps more quickly than we would have been able to otherwise, with arguably less funding required to do that. So that's really kind of been the key positive for me. And we haven't really we found the access to London and other financial hubs quite straightforward. So building a global building a global business from Wales to date has been a great experience for us. And we've really been able to do a lot when it comes to scaling from here in Cardiff. On what excites me about the fintech sector the most is, I guess, kind of the development and the sophistication now of what I've been seeing in terms of how financial services, traditional financial services firms and new market entrants are now able to collaborate. And I think I've really seen in a number of kind of B2B industries in particular, that's really developed and generated some kind of real energy around doing that. And that to me is hugely exciting, because I think you're able to then blend the ability for new entrants to move quite in quite an agile, nimble manner, combined with the trusted reputation, the brand, and the customer base of some of these more well-established financial institutions. And I think that in turn has only will only go to benefit the fintech sector more broadly, because if you can put the best-in-class solutions with the best-in-class organizations, I think that's super powerful, and I think that creates a really exciting dynamic for the whole industry to work from. In terms of we've as I said, we've always viewed the private markets industry that we operate in as truly global. Dubai and the US, and in doing that, we've always been keen to heavily leverage any support ecosystems that we can. We found these sorts of the support from the likes of the DIT, the FinTech bridges, the Welsh Government, as real good ways of understanding markets better that we would have usually had to incur a lot higher cost to really kind of target or even better understand kind of prior to targeting. So for us, we've been able to leverage a lot of support, and particularly from being one of the faster growing businesses in Wales thus far, that's helped us really leverage that broader stakeholder network to do more in international markets, and it's led to some really exciting developments for the business, whether it's kind of client conversations, investor conversations, and we've been been really grateful for having that support ecosystem around us, because entering an international market can often be quite a lonely and difficult experience if you don't have those kind of networks around you. I think running an international business in 2020 has obviously been challenging for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. I think there's been, in spite of that, as well, one thing I've kind of observed and seen is there has been a real, acceleration in a lot of financial institutions' willingness and ability to digitize. We actually released a white paper earlier this year, which was talking around the digitization of financial services in private markets. And, we surveyed over 200 correspondents from across the world globally, and, saw lots of really interesting insight. And one thing that always stuck with me was that 9 out of 10 of those surveyed felt that the COVID-19 pandemic had accelerated, digital transformation within their organization. So I think that in itself creates, sizable opportunity and sizable change in the fintech sector, which should create opportunity for businesses like ourselves, but also the industry more broadly to adapt and change. It's been, quite an eye opener for me personally in terms of, what you can do with less travel. We've been able to deliver enterprise projects completely remotely. But I do also believe there's no replacement for that human interaction. So very much looking forward to hopefully a world in 2021 where a hybrid approach will come to the forefront. And I believe kind of a lot of our clients are hoping for the same, because I very much think that the role of the financial institution and those personal relationships will be here for some time. And I think there's, it's as with a lot of things, it's about finding that balance and that middle ground. So, a challenging year for everyone, which I think is well documented and publicised now. But in all sorts of these things, it does also create opportunities, and there's definitely a lot to be said for how you can run an international business in a year like 2020 and take the learnings forward. What would be my advice to companies looking to do business in the UK? I think that to me is similar advice to what I've given to any business looking to expand or explore an international market. We've we've been able to unlock kind of really low cost market test and entry points through things like accelerators and trade missions and things like that. I believe that's a great way to explore whether your business has potential in that new market that you're thinking about entering. And to go and maybe establish those relationships off your own back would take a lot longer. So being able, and when time is of the essence, and I guess money is of the essence, when growing a business, the ways you can minimize the outlay is super valuable. So definitely my first piece of advice would be to leverage those where possible. And the second piece would be, there's no time. I guess there's no time like the present. Now more than ever, years like this show people that. And I think particularly, the message from the UK is that it's very much open for business. I believe we've got a mature and developed ecosystem where, market participants know how to interact with other market participants. So, for Delio in Singapore and the wider APAC region and beyond are hugely exciting for me. I think we've had some presence on the ground now, both in Singapore and Australia for some time, and we are really seeing some real developments and high potential projects that are coming our way. And we believe that Singapore and Australia in particular will be big drivers of our growth in the next 2 to 3 years. Similarly, we have some ongoing conversations for broader expansion in the region that we're hoping to be able to announce in 2021. So yeah, definitely see a huge market opportunity for us. I think it's a great environment and a great ecosystem to do business, and would love to be able to have spent more of my time there this year, but hoping to be able to do that in the future when hopefully we get the world back to some normality.
Hi there, my name's Will, and I am the co-founder and product manager at Tomelo. So Tomelo really started back at university for us and my co-founders, when we basically campaigned for the university endowment to be better invested in line with the values of the university students. That means taking it out of fossil fuels. And this really continued after university for us as well, to what Tomelo is today, where we offer transparency and voting to investors with the ultimate vision of giving every investor a voice. On the transparency side, we break down funds into their underlying holdings. And the differentiator here is we make this information really user-friendly. We make those underlying holdings have logos, proper names, percentage holdings, a short bio to explain the company, a link to the company website. And what users can do is really explore this information and understand where their investments are. On the voting side, we allow people to cast a preference for a vote on proposals at shareholder meetings that are held within their funds. We communicate this preference back to the fund manager, who takes it into account when they cast a legal vote at the company, allowing all of the users to actually have their voice heard at these on these really important issues, and therefore have really active impact at these companies. We deliver these solutions by actually selling to investment platforms. So we have an API solution that allows people to integrate into their current offering and build a really native experience for their users. And we also have a dashboard, which is a plug and play solution, really, that investment platforms can have branded in their colors and really get going on day one. We started our business originally in Bristol because that's where I'm from. And me and my co-founders found many friendly faces who would actually let us sleep on their sofas when basically there wasn't much money to start the business. Eventually we managed to raise some money and move out. And as we scaled the business in Bristol, it's then that we really started to realize the benefit of having a smaller, tight-knit tech community that are really there to just help you out. And in terms of sort of a practical business perspective, the talent was really there as well, without the cost of having to run a business in the capital, London, where salaries are very, very high. Things that excite me about the industry right now are sort of twofold. One being on a broader industry level, and one being at a more selfish Temelo level. On the broader industry level, open banking is finally starting to deliver value to users, which is really exciting, specifically around the pain point of payments. So typically moving money into investment platforms was slow, took weeks because it was done via direct debit. People are now starting to introduce the payments API, which makes all of these money flows instant. It's that level of reassurance to someone who's a first-time investor and doesn't quite trust these platforms in the first instance. So they don't want to put their bank details in, but they're really happy to sort of use these payments APIs. And that just reducing that little bit of friction helps that sign-up rate hugely. On a more selfish side, and maybe on a more boring side, I really am a big fan of the regulation that's coming out around stewardship in fund management. So the pensions minister in the UK is talking about introducing some quite serious regulation that's going to bring so much clarity to individual investors about how fund managers are voting at these shareholder meetings. Also, what's really exciting here is the PLSA coming out with regulation that really supports more knowledge for underlying investors so that they really know what's happening with their money, the impact that it's having there. In terms of what really appeals to me about the Singapore international market is the huge amount of wealth management platforms out there. It is a massive industry. What's really, really great about this is it's the type of investor there as well. Typically, there are quite a lot of high net worth platforms out there, or more people with larger amount of savings to invest. And that's really exciting for us because that is really a great target user for us to have. Is people who really care about where their money is going because they have a large amount invested. They want the fund manager to be working for them. So them casting their opinion on votes that are happening really lets them have that additional connection with the fund manager. And it's great for the fund manager as well because they can demonstrate that additional value add that they're bringing to the equation. And that's really exciting about Singapore. In terms of running an international business in 2020, I would really zoom in there on the 2020 aspect and running a business in the middle of a pandemic, be it international or not. It's really in these moments or these times that building an internal culture at your business is incredibly important. People need to be bought into where you're going. They need to be on the same page. They need to work together as a team. And in order for that to happen, you have to have that strong culture. You have to have the values embedded into your business. You have to have hired fundamentally the right people who fit within that culture as well. And that's a particularly difficult thing to do when remote, interviewing people over Zoom, getting them set up remotely, getting them integrated into the team remotely. They're not bumping into people at the office. How can you create that environment in a remote setup? And we've spent a huge amount of time thinking about this and introducing it into our company. And we're really starting to see the dividends pay off. People actually really love the work and it gives them something during the pandemic. In terms of giving advice for businesses starting in the UK, I personally believe it is just a fantastic environment. We've got the EIS and SEIS tax advantages for early fundraising. We've got the regulatory environment with the FCA, which is incredibly welcoming to people. In terms of considering whether to enter the UK market, I would really think about who that target user is. What is the typical persona of someone in the UK? Do they fit your business model? Do they fit the persona that you have in another country? And if they do, fantastic, go for it. If they don't, maybe have a think about what are the features that can bring that forward that are more similar to how the culture already works in that country.